What is up, guys? Welcome back to another deck video. Today we are going to be talking about Mew Rhyperior. Mew Rhyperior is actually a very simple deck designed to do one thing, and that's use Hand Crush over and over and over again. It's very, very similar to the meta deck of Mew Rhyperior that was out when these two cards were both legal in the same format. The whole idea is that you're going to use Mew turn 1 to use the attack See-Off, search your deck for one Pokemon and put it in the Lost Zone, and then every turn after that you are going to copy Hand Crush, which does, you discard the top 5 cards of your deck, does 50 times the number you discard, and you're trying to blow stuff up with that. Positives and negatives to this deck. The positive thing is that it has the capability of one-shotting stuff left and right on a non-EX Pokemon. The problem with it is twofold. One, if you don't hit all of the energies at the top of your deck, you're not going to be, you're not going to be one-shotting them, or maybe even doing any significant amount of damage. If you only hit 1 or 2, that's 50 damage, 100 damage. It might not be the amount of damage you actually need, and there's no way of actually knowing how much damage you're going to do. The other negative part is that if someone hexes you or goops you, you can't use Lost Link, and therefore you can't attack, because this is the only other attacker in the deck. There are builds of this deck that do focus on Delcatty, which is where you can rearrange the top cards of your deck and put energy on it and that sort of thing. But this version of the deck is going to focus on reusing Mew as many times as you possibly can, and then just using Hand Crush over and over again. So, with that being said, what else is in the deck? Well, for Pokemon, there really isn't that much, because the whole idea is that you want to start with Mew and use it turn 1 every single time. These are literally the only other Pokemon in the deck. That's it. This is the entire Pokemon section. There are only 7 cards. If you noticed, you can't start with 4 of them. These 4, you actually can't, or, well, you can start with it. You can start with the Talonflame, but if you start with Talonflame, you can still at least retreat into the Mew. Now, the reason that you play so little of it is, like I said, you want the increased chance of getting that turn 1 See-Off. There are a lot of search cards and switch cards in here that can get you that turn 1 See-Off. Regardless, you may be asking why there's Aerodactyls in here. Well, it's because you play, excuse me, you play Mysterious Fossils to go into. If you get Hex or Goop with Mew, you can retreat into a Mysterious Fossil and have it take a hit while you get out of Goop Lock or Hex Lock. This kind of makes sense. Uxi's in the deck because setup is just too good of an ability to pass up, and then this Ditto actually gets your Mew back. It's another way of recovery. What it does is once during your turn, you research your discard pile for a Pokemon and switch it with Ditto. Easy as that. So that helps you recover Mew. That's why that's in there. These are also in a play because if you're going up against Spiritomb and you don't draw into one of your supporters, or you can't play any. That's kind of the whole thing. Is that if you're against Spiritomb, the only thing you can play is supporters. I should have said you can't play all of your wall sitters. You can't play Mysterious Fossil. You can't play Fairy Doll or anything like that. So they'll just sit behind Spiritomb, get set up, and then the moment the time's right, they'll switch, knock out whatever Pokemon you started with. If you didn't start Talonflame, if you started one of these, and then you're kind of screwed. So, like, let's say you only played the Mew, right? That's what they would do. They would sit behind Spiritomb until they could, and they'd come up and KO Mew, and then you're done. There's literally nothing else you can do because you couldn't get past that item lock to play down all of your wall sitters. So you need a couple more Pokemon. That's what these kind of satisfy for. These are really good for Mysterious Fossil. Here's your Lost World target, and that sort of thing. That all makes sense. So there are only 7 Pokemon. If you wanted to, you could play some other Pokemon to see off, but really all you're trying to do is hard crush over and over again. Excuse me. Moving on to supporters. There's also a little bit less on the supporter end of things because most of the cards are digging through your deck, and most of the cards energies. So we're going to be looking at Colress, Copycat, Guzma, Lysander's trump card, Marley's Request, N, Professor Juniper, Professor Oak, Professor Sycamore, Rocket's admin teammates, and then Skyla for your non-standard supporters. So there's 3 that you won't see very often. Cynthia's Feelings is just extra shuffle draw. You don't really need a lot of tech cards here. You don't need Hex. You don't need. You can't use stuff like Oracle or Mallow because you don't have the ways to draw it reliably. You don't have a lot of those kind of cards, so more shuffle draw is great. And then more draw is awesome. You have Juggler and Bill's maintenance, you're playing a whole bunch of energies to take advantage of hard crush. So these are great ways to draw cards. You have to remember that you want energies in your deck. You want to keep energies in your deck, and you have a lot of them to keep energies in your deck. You just want to make sure that you're not clunking up your deck with too many supporters. Because we're not playing the Delcatty version. We're playing the Luck version. Excuse me, moving on to items. There are a bunch of items. We'll go through them real fast. You're going to be looking at Acrobike. Look at all the normal stuff that's in this deck. Acrobike, Bill, Computer Search, Item Finder, Junk Arm, Level Ball, Luxury Ball. Managed to fit 7 across the top. Look at me go. You got Mystery's Wrath, Professor Oak, Rescue Stretcher, Secret Mission, a way to draw extra cards. This card's actually really, really good. It's not seen in a lot of decks because you don't want to discard your hand, but as a hand reset, it's probably one of the best options. Super Rod, Ultra Ball, Versus Seeker, Windstorm. Now for some other, we got still some standard stuff in here. You got Pokemon Retriever and Pokemon Rescue Stretcher to recover your Mew over and over again. I did mention you are playing the maximum copies for Mysterious Fossil. Those are in the deck. You're actually also playing Root Fossil and Claw Fossil. Just other bench sitting cards. You want to max those out as much as you can. Let's see what else we got in here. You got Robo Sub to go with all the bench sitters, and once I find Clefairy all there, you got that. Now most of these other cards, let's see whether or not, or you got Pokemon Rescue and Pokédex Handy, and then the rest of these are a little bit unorthodox. You do have Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, extra way to draw cards, and Erica, more draw support there. And the rest of these are all, let's see, oh, there's 2 other ways to draw cards, 3 other ways. You're looking at Random Receiver. There aren't very many supporters, and most of the supporters you have are draw supporters, except for Lysander Guzma, and I think that's it off the top of my head. So Random Receiver is going to get you a draw supporter no matter what. It's one of the few decks you actually play this card in. You have Bill's Teleporter, extra way to draw cards, just like Roller Skates, which is right here. This one's 3, this one's 4. More ways to draw cards to try to guarantee you that turn 1. And then you have all these recovery options of Buddy Buddy Rescue, Time Space Distortion, and Revive to get back your Mew. You want to kind of make sure you can use your Mew over and over again. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 recovery options from the discard pile, plus your Ditto, plus Item Finder and Junk Arm, plus if you really needed to, you could Super Rod it back in. Super Rod's mainly going to be used for energies. You're really going to shuffle 3 energies back in. And with that philosophy, you're also going to play Energy Recycler. Shuffles 5 energies back in. Hopefully late game, your deck is nothing but energies, and this is a great way to recover it. The problem with Trump Card, because you're going to be thinking, oh, why not just like Trump Card all the energies back in? Well, you're also going to shuffle back in all of your items and muck up your deck with nothing but items. You really don't want that. You want most of your deck just to be energies so that you're getting those 200 damage, those 300 damage attacks off. 200 and 250. The only tool that we're playing no stadiums, by the way. There's no stadium that you really need to play. The only worry is that if like your opponent plays Silent Lab for some reason, you're going to be able to. Windstorm is your only way to bounce it, so you can use Mew. Other than that, there's no stadium that actually realistically hurts you. The only tool we're playing is Rescue Scarf. It's just another way to reuse Mew over and over again. So Rescue Scarf's going to be the one. You could argue to play Muscle Band and Muscle Band and Floatstone to get back out. What am I trying to say? Muscle Band and Floatstone to hit better numbers, and then Floatstone so that you can save one of your bench sitters for some reason. Also, if you decide to play the this list actually is a little different from the one we used in the video because you can play Fossil Aerodactyl. That's what I'm thinking of. Fossil Aerodactyl is supposed to play in place of the one from Majestic Dawn. And that's you don't have evolution, so that's a great way. So Floatstone you can use to keep Fossil Aerodactyl in the active, or out of the active, if that makes sense. That was really confusing, but if you play Fossil Aerodactyl, Floatstone. Thumbs up. Rescue Scarf is the only one that's in this deck, though. And then moving on, you're going to not play all the Elite Four. You're only going to play 3 of them, and then Dow's Machine. You're not going to play Goop Gas Attack because your only attacker in the entire deck is vulnerable to Goop. So you want to make sure not to shut your own attack off. You could play it, and then like on a turn where you know you're not going to attack, you could play it to kind of slow your opponent down. But you know, really, Goop is not going to be that advantageous in a lot of situations. So all three of those and dowsing, and then here's the energy section. Ooh. Rescue Energy is the only special energy you're going to play. Same with Rescue Scarf. That's why you're going to keep it. And then we are going to play 3, 6, 9, 10, 3, 6, 9, 10, 3, 6, 9, 10, 3, 36 energies. That's a third of your deck, basically. Over a third of your deck. And the reason being is, like I said, you want to make sure to get as much damage from Rhyperior's attacks as possible. So like I said, I just realized, like I said, the Majestic Dawn should actually be the fossil one, but for Aerodactyls. But other than that, that's the list. It's got all these energies in it. If you got any suggestions, let me know. It's a pretty simple list, pretty simple to play, very easy to play actually. You just get that turn 1 see off, and then you just try to blow stuff up every turn. So cool. If you have any questions, let me know.